Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today, I'm going to be reviewing yet another obscure horror flick. And because, well, like I said many times before, folks, I know I've said this in the past, and I'm going to say this again. I want to do this because of the fact that Halloween is my favorite time of year, and it's all year round for me, folks. Oh yeah, gives me a good excuse to talk about my favorite genre here, folks. Yes, sirree. So yeah, it's a year-round thing for me, folks, even if it's almost Christmas. That's for sure. So of course, the movie I'm going to be reviewing today is the one titled Fright Night from 1967, folks. Oh yeah. I figured I would review this because it does give me a good opportunity to go into these vintage horror films kind of thing. But of course, as usual, I have to talk about the plot of this particular movie. So let's get into it, shall we? Oh yeah. Night Fright pretty much opens with this couple in a car out in the dark forest during the night, of course, for some odd reason. They make out until they hear a special news bulletin on the radio where they speak about this object that had crashed in a nearby forest. So yeah, they're trying to mix the elements of a sci-fi movie in this particular horror movie, which is fine. But anyway, the couple soon just totally ignore that, folks. So yeah, they started making out, of course. Then right when that comes in, we see that suddenly something had killed them all of a sudden. So yeah, we get to see that suddenly switched to something else, to the next scene or whatnot. So yeah, we see this woman, JD, and she's talking to a friend when her boyfriend comes in. This character's named Chris, and they go out for a drive in the country, of course. They arrive in the forest where this strange object from space had fallen, and we get to see that the character JD to be exact, wants to see where he had crash landed, of course, for some odd reason. Her boyfriend Chris then starts rambling about certain things, and even the certain things will start to occur as the film progresses, of course, folks. So yeah, I wouldn't mind if the boyfriend start talking about deep, meaningful things about life and whatnot, but unfortunately, the boyfriend character is really uninteresting, to be bluntly honest with you, folks. So yeah, but anyway, then after a whole 2 minutes, after the two of them are looking at leaves, Chris tells JD funny story. Then the two of them just do this playful thing. They run across after each other, and so yeah, there's like a murder thing going on, folks. It's supposed to be scary and whatnot. Yeah, of course, the creature would eventually come into the film because this is supposed to be like a creature feature kind of thing, folks. Which I wouldn't mind, but the thing is that, folks, this movie was not very good, folks. I did not like this movie at all. I've seen this film with The Amazing Man, so Amazing Man, if you've seen this review right now, I highly appreciate the fact that you watched this film with me. However, unfortunately, this movie was not particularly good. I mean, granted, it's not far from the worst, and I do like the concept of this idea of this creature from space that comes to Earth and just start murdering everybody up in this town and whatnot. I do like the idea of the movie. Yeah, the idea wasn't too bad. I just felt like maybe the execution of this particular movie was unfortunately not very good. It pains me to say that this movie sucks because I like watching really obscure monster horror movies. And there's lots of scenes where teenagers are dancing, of course. And lots of scenes where cops are standing around trying to figure out what the hell is going on exactly. And yeah, there's the film's creature. The creature does show up eventually, of course, here and there. But that's the thing, folks. The creature doesn't show up that much, actually. And yeah, we have the official characters trying to figure out what is what and why. So yeah, which is fine, of course. Comes off like this typical detective kind of stuff going on, which would have worked if the film was much better than what it was. Unfortunately, it just ends up being really lousy. Really lousy. The dialogue is cheesy, really cheesy, folks, and did not like the dialogue. Like I mentioned before, there's quite a few scenes where the teenagers are dancing, And maybe it's overly focused on that is what I'm saying, folks. Maybe it's too focused on that alone. So yeah, unfortunately, none of the characters are really interesting, especially the boyfriend character. I find the boyfriend character to be rather bland as fuck. Really fucking bland. So yeah, this was a pretty bad movie. Again, not exactly the worst I've seen, but still pretty damn bad. So it has a pretty good concept of the overall movie, but unfortunately, just the overall story was poorly executed. It really was. I did not like it, folks. I did not like it at all. I don't recommend this film. I mean, if you want to give it a shot anyway, despite my review of it, but still. I found it boring, folks. To be really, really boring.
That's boring. You're boring, everybody. Quit boring everyone.
This could have been a good movie, folks. Unfortunately, it was just really poorly done as a whole. I did not like it at all. So, I mean, yeah, there's some aspects of the film I did like, folks. But if another bad thing I can say about this film is that the pacing was extremely slow, folks. It was really, really slow. It's painfully slow. So, yeah, I did not like that at all, folks. So, altogether, folks, this was a really flawed film. A really, really flawed film as a whole, folks. And, yeah, I can say that definitely skip this one, folks, because of the fact there's nothing particularly well done of this film, folks. Yeah, the movie could be watchable if you want to, well, make fun of it, I guess. Sure. And there's barely any character development, folks. There's barely any character development at all. The characters themselves are extremely shallow, really, really shallow. There's also a severe lack of plot development, folks. Yeah, a severe lack of plot development as a whole because of the fact that, well, again, it's poorly written, really poorly written. And yeah, it does have the feel of the vintage kind of thing. I do like that. I do like the fact that it does have a certain charm to it, so there's that. So, this is one of the things I did like about the film. It does have a certain charm to it from the vintage old horror films from the 1960s and whatnot. So, just unfortunately, the film as a whole was pretty bad. Just unfortunately. And some of the scenes came off way too bright, if you ask me. She should have been a lot darker. So, what I'm saying here is that it doesn't even attempt to create a mood. I mean, kind of, sort of attempts to create a mood, but unfortunately, it doesn't. A lot of the scenes come off too bright, and the acting itself isn't very good. The acting is really over the top, folks. Extremely over the top. So, even the acting itself, it comes off rather lackluster as whole, folks. Unfortunately, I guess you can say. So, I can say that it's definitely worth a skip. Don't waste your time with this movie at all. I thought this would have been a good movie, it just unfortunately, it wasn't. I do like these old, vintage, obscure horror films. Just unfortunately, this is one of those that are just terrible. Just flat out terrible. There's nothing I really particularly like about the film as a whole. It's just flat out a mess, folks. A flat out mess. Even the editing itself came off pretty bad. It came off really poorly edited as well, folks. And the execution was probably the ultimate downfall, folks. A lot of people believe that the editing makes the film. And in a lot of ways, that's the case. In this film's case, I guess you can say, the editing was piss poor. And yeah, they could have had something here. They really could have had something if there was more effort placed into it. It just felt really half-assed. Really, really half-assed. So, unfortunately, folks, I have to say that I had a bad time watching this movie. A really, really bad time. So, at the end of the day, folks, this film was pretty unwatchable. And it's probably one of the most boring horror films I've ever seen. Which, of course, is not a good sign because it's a horror movie. It's supposed to be frightening, it's supposed to be interesting. But it doesn't deliver on any kind of way. Except to, I guess, bore me, I guess. And like I mentioned a few moments ago, oh boy, there's plenty of dancing. And I do mean lots and lots of dancing for some odd reason. Why is it even added here? Just to waste time, I guess? I don't know why, but okay. And yeah, folks, I don't like that. Why is there so many scenes like this? I don't get it. I think you have a close-up of some woman's ass for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, seems to be rather random, but sure. Oh yeah, that just comes out of nowhere for some odd reason. I mean, if you want to express sexuality in this kind of thing, sure, but as long as it goes under the context of the entire story. Matter of fact, they could have actually played it into the story some sort of matter, because maybe the male or maybe even the female character could have some sort of fixation on the character's rear end, and maybe it could come up to the point where this, I guess, it becomes an obsession, so to speak, and this obsession could have went into some sort of danger where the character could have met up with this, I guess, alien monster thing, almost gets herself killed, I guess, maybe. I don't know. The girls in some ways play tribute to the 1950s women pin-up kind of thing. That was quite popular during the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. So they could have played tribute into that some kind of way, but of course fit in within the context of the overall story. Don't do it just for the sake of it, but of course have a good story around it. And there's lots of ways this film could have been good. And I like the concept of it, like I mentioned before, but unfortunately, it just flat out boring. It's really, really boring as a whole, folks. So sadly, folks, a wasted potential that just fell flat in his face. Anyway, Fright Night gets an overall rating of a 4.2 out of 10. It gets a 4.2 out of 10. And as always, thanks for watching and take care. See ya.